I landed at the airport in the middle of the night and sent a message to my brother. Are you asleep? Brother, could you come to the airport and pick me up? He replied with a voice message, his tone flirtatious. Which sister are you? Send me a photo to have a look. I was speechless and made a video call. Tomorrow I'll ask mom and dad how many sisters you want. My brother's expression changed abruptly, and he quickly begged for mercy. Brother was wrong. Don't tell mom and dad. I'll ask my most handsome and best-mannered brother to pick you up. Later, the brother with the best character in my brother's mouth bullied me so severely that I cried behind his back. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. The flight was delayed. I didn't get off the plane until the middle of the night. The airport exit at 2:30 in the morning was a bit desolate. I couldn't get a taxi, and I was a bit scared. I sent a message to my brother Hogan. Are you asleep? Brother, come to the airport and pick me up. After sending the message, I frowned at the extra character. Brother, I accidentally typed. It felt strange. A bit awkward. I usually just call him brother, not bro. We have each other's contact information, but the chat box is blank, which shows that our conversation as siblings is not very intimate. It's not that we have a bad relationship. It's just that siblings usually don't have much to talk about when they grow up. I waited for 10 minutes. My brother sent 2 voice messages. Which sister are you? Send me a photo to have a look. The tone was flirtatious and casual. I was speechless. He definitely didn't have me saved with a proper note. I know my brother is a playboy, but this was the first time I had directly faced his libertine side. I directly made a video call. As soon as the video connected, the light on the other side was dim, and there was some background noise. My brother was lazily leaning on the sofa, his eyes playful. He even held a wine glass with a leisurely mood. We looked at each other through the screen for a few seconds. His body straightened up instantly, and that carefree attitude disappeared completely. I smiled and said, tomorrow I'll ask mom and dad how many sisters you want. What do you think, brother? My brother spat out the wine in his mouth and coughed awkwardly. There were people around him jeering. Hogan, this little sister is really pretty. If you don't like her, introduce her to me. My brother changed his expression and kicked the other person. Get lost. This is my biological sister. Shut up. Presumably. The phone was placed on the table at first. My brother reached out his hand, and the camera zoomed in. He was a bit embarrassed. Why didn't you tell me in advance that you were coming home? I kept smiling. If I had told you, I wouldn't have known that you have so many sisters. I'll tell mom and dad when I get home. My brother rubbed his forehead and begged for mercy. Brother was wrong. Don't tell mom and dad. I snorted. Suddenly, a very soft laugh came from the screen. It was deep and pleasant. Very charming. My brother glanced at the person beside him. I've been drinking and can't drive. I'll ask someone to pick you up. As soon as he finished speaking, there were successive responses around my brother. I'll go. Sister, I'll come pick you up. Although your brother has many sisters, you can have many brothers. My brother cursed. Get out of here. None of you are good people. There's no way you can pick up my sister. My brother looked at me and said, well, I'll ask my most handsome and best-mannered brother to pick you up. The screen changed. I saw a handsome and cold face. I was immediately amazed. Larry, my brother's best friend. I've only met him a few times. My brother is 2 years older than me. We used to be in the same high school, and I would occasionally run into the two of them. Although I'm not a stranger to him, I'm not familiar with him either. I've never spoken to Larry before. I suddenly met his gaze through the screen. I was startled. Larry smiled at me calmly. Before I could react, my brother hung up the video. After hanging up the video, my brother transferred 100,000 yuan as hush money to me. He told me, don't tell mom and dad. I silently received the money and sent an okay emoji. My brother asked me to add Larry's contact information and send him my location. I added it and sent the location. Larry's reply was brief. Just one word, okay. After sending the location, I stared aimlessly at the night. For some reasons, I actually didn't really want Larry to pick me up. But I couldn't refuse at the moment. I was bored waiting for the car, so I squatted on the ground and played a match 3 game. After more than half an hour, Giselle, a white Porsche stopped in front of me. From the lowered car window, Larry looked down at me. There was a smile on his lips. The last time I saw him was in high school, and I've already graduated from university now. I didn't have a real sense of it when I looked at him through the phone screen just now. Now, when I was in close contact with him, I stared at Larry's face and lost my mind. I thought of a funny saying I once read in the high school online forum for no reason. Larry, the most handsome guy in no. One middle school, kills people with his face. He's so handsome. After graduating for many years, his appearance and temperament were even better than before. Seeing me in a daze, Larry asked, "Are your legs numb?" I stood up suddenly. I opened my mouth. After thinking for a long time, I didn't know how to address Larry. Call him by his name. It's a bit impolite. Call him brother. It's a bit embarrassing. I blushed. Larry looked at my changing expression, his eyes full of interest. He probably thought my reaction was very funny. He let out a soft laugh. Then he got out of the car. He was very tall and had an excellent body proportion. Standing in front of me, he made me feel pressured. I instinctively took 2 steps back. He raised his eyebrows. "Don't you recognize me?" I stammered. I do. Larry smiled and took the initiative to help me put my luggage away. My gaze drifted to the back seat of the car. My mind was working. Just as I was about to grab the car door handle, Larry opened the passenger door for me. He said to me in a gentlemanly and polite manner, "Get in the car." In the car. I was very nervous. I sat as properly as a top student. Noticing my embarrassment, Larry played some soft music. He took the initiative to find topics and chat with me casually. Just as we were talking, his phone rang. I accidentally glanced at it. It was a girl's name. He didn't answer. The other person called again. Larry directly muted the phone. My eyes rolled, and I felt that the atmosphere was not right. Just as I was thinking about what to say, my best friend suddenly sent several voice messages. Sending voice messages at this time. It must be something really important. I clicked to convert them to text. I didn't press the button properly, and my best friend's hysterical voice came out of the phone. Damn it. How could there be a man who can't perform in this world? I was so startled. I hurriedly tried to turn off the phone, but the more flustered I was, the more my hands trembled. The phone directly fell to my feet. After one voice message finished playing, the next one continued. I chased that aloof guy for so long and he turned out to be a useless waste. Who understands the pain of taking off the clothes halfway through? What's the use of being big? He looks good but is useless. Baby, you must test your boyfriend with your hand first in the future. Otherwise, it will be like me. I'm really going to cry to death. He's just a vase. He's been giving me the cold shoulder for the past 3 months. Where does he get the confidence from? I picked up the phone with difficulty, turned off the screen with difficulty, restored the silence with difficulty. My head was so heavy that I couldn't lift it up. At this moment, I was extremely grateful that there was still music playing in the car. It gave me a little bit of dignity. Otherwise, I really wanted to jump out of the car. I secretly glanced at Larry, who was driving quietly. His profile was very calm. He gave me the dignity of an adult. It would be better if there wasn't that faint smile at the corner of his mouth. I was like a snail. I shrank aside and stared at the car window, not daring to make a sound. I shouted in my heart, "Help!" When waiting at a traffic light, Larry, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. "Is your boyfriend still the one from high school?" I was stunned for a moment and then shook my head. "No, I don't have a boyfriend. There was a boy in high school who pestered me very persistently. Once, when he was pulling at me at school, my brother saw it from a distance. My brother sprinted over and pulled the boy away from me. He asked with a serious face, "Who are you?" "I'm her boyfriend." "Who are you?" "Let me tell you. Giselle is mine. Don't you dare have any ideas about her." These words and his attitude directly ignited my brother's temper. The two of them started fighting. I tried to stop the fight and pulled my brother. He got even angrier. He thought I was taking the boy's side and angrily threw me away. Larry arrived at the scene a step later. Seeing that I was about to fall, he instinctively reached out to catch me and hugged me tightly. My brother and the boy stopped fighting instantly. They both shouted at Larry in unison, "Let her go." The embarrassing events of the past were still vivid in my mind. I looked embarrassed. For the rest of the journey, Larry still chatted with me. He didn't mention any topics that made me uncomfortable or embarrassed. But when we arrived home, I almost fled in a hurry. After not seeing each other for a long time, I made a fool of myself in front of Larry. As an introverted person, I couldn't fall asleep all night and kept going over the memories in my mind. In the end, I could only sigh deeply. I comforted myself that it was okay. Anyway, I wouldn't have any more contact with Larry. I'm from the South, but I studied in the North for 4 years in university. I got my postgraduate degree there and worked for 2 years. This time I came back. One reason was that I resigned and came back to the South for development. The other was to attend my eldest cousin's wedding. These days, the house has been very lively. My third uncle's family from the neighboring city has all come. My brother has his own house outside and doesn't usually live at home. I've been back home for a week, and I've only seen him once. Today is a family gathering, and he has to be there. I don't know until what time he was fooling around last night, and I couldn't get through to his phone. My dad was so angry that he asked me to go and find him. My brother's house wasn't far away, just a 20-minute drive. I have the fingerprint access, and I opened the door with a fingerprint scan. A strong smell of alcohol and tobacco hit me. There were many empty wine bottles on the living room table. I frowned and walked towards the master bedroom. The bedroom door wasn't closed, and the bed curtain was tightly drawn, making it pitch black inside. I pulled the curtain open. The room instantly became bright. The person on the bed unconsciously pulled the quilt up higher to cover his face. He really could sleep, I said angrily as I walked to the bedside. Get up. I pulled the quilt away. A male body full of hormones and with an excellent line proportion was revealed in front of me. My heart, which had been as calm as still water, boiled when I saw Larry's face. Larry slowly opened his eyes after I pulled the quilt away. Under the messy hair, his blurred gaze became completely clear in a few seconds. We stared at each other. I clearly saw that there was a very obvious rise and fall in the place where Larry was only wearing black shorts all over his body. Suddenly, my face turned completely red. Larry reacted and quickly pulled the quilt over to cover his body. I turned around in a hurry and ran. As a result, I clumsily kicked the bed leg. The sudden impact made me cry out in pain. I squatted down and hugged my leg, gasping for air. Larry heard the noise and sat up from the bed. Are you okay? His voice was still hoarse from just waking up. The quilt slid down, revealing his strong chest, broad shoulders and a narrow waist. The muscle lines were just right. The skin was white in some places and red in others. With that flawless face, the visual stimulation was even more exciting than when he was lying down. I didn't care about the pain in my leg or answering him. I quickly got up and ran out of the room as if fleeing. Outside the room, my heart was pounding non-stop. The blood in my body rushed to my head. Damn it. Why did I hear a woman scream? My brother staggered out of the guest room. His hair was a mess like a chicken coop. He was sleepy-eyed. When he saw me, he shuddered in fright. Then he let out a sigh of relief. Damn. I thought it was someone else. I sneered. You thought it was one of your good sisters. Right. My brother ruffled his hair a few times. What are you talking about? Your brother is a decent person. Why are you here? My third uncle's family is here, and Dad asked you to go home for a dinner gathering tonight. I gloated. I couldn't get through to your phone. You're going to get scolded when you go back. While I was talking to my brother, Larry walked out of the master bedroom. He was fully dressed by now. He was wearing a simple white and gray casual home outfit, looking clean and fresh. The moment our eyes met, both he and I looked a bit unnatural. My brother didn't notice our abnormality. He casually introduced, he's staying with me temporarily. Seeing that my brother was only wearing a pair of 5-point casual shorts, Larry reminded him, put on some clothes. My brother didn't care. Don't make a fuss. She's seen me like this before. Yes. My brother, with his bare chest, was no different from the cats and dogs on the street in my eyes. No, cats and dogs are more good-looking than my brother. Larry frowned and directly pushed my brother into the room, and closed the door behind him. My brother complained inside the door. People who don't know might think she's your sister. I smiled awkwardly, and walked towards the living room. Larry followed me out. He started cleaning up the mess of wine bottles and cigarette ashes on the floor. I wanted to help, but he stopped me. Sit down. I'll do it. As he was cleaning, he explained, it was my birthday yesterday, and they celebrated for me and made a mess. We didn't clean up because it was too late. My house is being renovated, so I'm staying at your brother's place for a while. Larry looked at me. Sorry. I didn't consider that you would come. Just now. He paused. I'll pay attention in the future. I said politely. It's okay. It was my recklessness. This kind of awkward situation happened once before. Larry stayed overnight at my house when he was in his second year of high school. At that time, I didn't know he was there. On Saturday, I rushed into my brother's room early in the morning wearing a hideous ghost mask. I planned to give him a scare, to get back at him for the prank he played on me the previous weekend. I tiptoed closer to my brother's bed. When I got closer, I realized something was wrong. The quilt was a huge lump. It filled up the 1.5-meter bed. When I stood at the head of the bed, I saw Larry's face. He suddenly opened his eyes. His pupils shrank suddenly. He jumped up. I was also startled. I apologized with a red face and ran away. Afterward, my brother laughed so hard at the dining table that he couldn't straighten up. I felt so embarrassed under Larry's gaze. I quickly finished my meal and went out. It happened many years ago. Now when I think about it, the shame and indignation have turned into amusement. Seeing the cake that had been thrown into the trash can, I politely said to Larry, "Happy birthday to you." Larry reached out his hand to me. "So, is there a gift?" "Oh." I was stunned. I didn't bring one. "Can I give it to you next time?" Larry couldn't help laughing. "I'm just kidding. Your birthday wish is the best gift." He stared at me with a smile in his eyes. I felt so awkward that I averted my gaze. I changed the subject. "Why were you sleeping in the master bedroom?" "Your brother said that the guest room has only been slept in by you, and there are still some things you left in there. I thought it wasn't appropriate for me, so I slept in the master bedroom. When I finished my postgraduate studies, I came back because I couldn't resist my parents' urging. I worked in our family company for half a year. The company was very close to my brother's house. I lived here during that period. Later, I went to the north again. I didn't decide to come back until now." Larry was quick and efficient. He soon tidied up the living room. He clearly seemed like a man who could do housework, unlike my brother, who was a mess in his daily life. After Larry finished cleaning, he took out a first aid kit. He squatted down in front of me. "Let me take a look at your injury." I was surprised by his thoughtfulness. I felt a bit embarrassed and shrank my foot back. I waved my hand. "It's okay. I can do it myself. I studied medicine. I'm more professional than you. Don't worry." Larry looked up at me. He had shallow double eyelids, and his eyes were very beautiful. His black pupils were clear and bright, like the moonlight falling on a stream. Under the gaze of those eyes, I nodded. Larry was a medical student in his undergraduate years. It's just that he injured his hand. Although it didn't affect his daily activities after treatment, he couldn't hold a scalpel steadily, so he changed his major later. I felt quite sorry when my brother told me about it, because he was a talented person. At this moment, Larry rolled up my trouser leg, revealing a large patch of blue and purple on my calf. It looked shocking. His hands were very beautiful, slender, well-proportioned, and with distinct knuckles. His warm fingertips gently touched my wound. "Does it hurt?" I hissed and nodded. "It hurts." I didn't know if the alcohol in the air hadn't dissipated completely. I felt a bit dizzy. The skin that was touched by Larry had an unusual tingling sensation. When Larry held my ankle and was about to apply the medicine for me, my brother came out. He had just taken a shower and was steaming with moisture. "What's going on here?" I stammered. Larry calmly answered for me. "She accidentally kicked the table leg just now." My brother stared at Larry's hand and frowned. He squatted down and pushed him aside. "I'll do it." Larry naturally gave way. He stood aside, lowered his eyes, and watched my brother's actions. He pursed his lips, looking a bit unhappy. My brother applied the medicine roughly and casually. He finished applying it in one go. He got up to get a tissue. I had expected this. I took the medicine myself and applied it again. My brother was slow to react. He stopped the action of wiping his hands. He suddenly asked, "Why did you scream just now?" I blinked. I saw a cockroach. When Larry heard my answer, the look he gave me was very subtle. I felt guilty and averted my gaze. When we were about to go out, I caught a glimpse of a small square paper package under the shoe cabinet. I bent down and picked it up. When Larry saw what I picked up, his expression changed suddenly. My brother was standing right next to me. He had just put on his shoes. He stood up and saw the thing in my hand. He snatched it away with lightning speed. And at this moment, I had already seen the words on it. Ultra thin. With granules. Condom. I pointed at my brother. You. My brother pressed down my finger. It's not mine. I swear. I've never brought any woman back here. He shifted the blame to Larry. Larry, is it yours? How could you just leave things lying around? Larry looked at me with a serious face and answered word by word. It's not mine. He calmed down the feeling of being wrongly accused by my brother and analyzed rationally. It was dropped by a friend who came to visit last night. There was full of doubt in my eyes. I looked at them as if I was looking at something dirty. You two, perverts. On the way home, my brother bought me delicious food and drinks halfway. We just let this matter go. We didn't mention it anymore. I didn't have the nerve to mention it either. Seeing that I wasn't looking cold anymore, my brother said to me while driving, "Why don't you have any precautions against men?" I looked at him in confusion. Larry applied medicine for you. There was skin-to-skin contact, and you just let him do it. These words made me feel a bit ashamed and annoyed. What are you talking about? Are you an old fossil? He's your friend, isn't he? Didn't you say he has a good character? You even let him live in your house. He said he studied medicine and wanted to take a look at my injury. I didn't think much of it. He wouldn't have any other intentions. Right. My brother clicked his tongue. This is a different matter. No matter how good my relationship with him is, no matter how good his character is, as long as he's a man, you should keep a distance from him. You don't understand men. Even the best and most noble men are lustful at their core. I'm not saying there's something wrong with Larry. I'm just saying you should have this awareness. I said angrily. I know. Stop talking. I'm not a child. I know the boundaries. My brother then questioned me about whether I had a boyfriend during the years I spent in the north. As we were talking, he mentioned the boy from high school. Don't be so stupid as to be deceived by that yellow-haired guy. Don't be coaxed by a bad man. I heard that kid followed you to the north. Don't be moved. That's not love. My head hurt. You're always scolding me. You have so many love affairs. Take care of yourself. Playboy. My brother was so angry that he laughed. He reached out his hand to pinch mine. I dodged it. My brother looks like a womanizer. In fact, he really knows how to have fun. He's often not at home. I don't know what he's doing outside. But to me, he's more futile than my dad. From childhood to adulthood, none of the boys around me have not been warned by him. He used to always say, "Brother is telling you. Men are all no good. Trust me, don't fall in love." I looked at him faintly. I asked sincerely, "Are you no good either?" He pretended to strangle my neck with his elbow. Gnashing his teeth, he said, "Who are you calling no good?" It was only during the years I was in the north that he couldn't control me. Now that he's getting older, he's figured it out. He thinks I've grown up. He should respect my right to choose in love. In the past 2 years, my family has been urging me to get married from time to time. He would say, "Actually, there are still some good men. Don't give up eating for fear of choking." But he still keeps reminding me. He tells me not to be deceived. And if I like someone, I must let him check the person out. The most ridiculous thing was that when my family wanted to find a suitable blind date partner for me who was from a similar background, my brother gave a sharp-tongued evaluation in front of my parents. This one seems honest on the surface, but he bullies the weak and fears the strong behind the scenes. This one is an alcoholic and a gambler. This one is too ugly. What a toad. This one's education is too fake. No good. This one has a lot of illegitimate brothers in his family. It's really messy. There was a rare one who was handsome and capable. He still shook his head. This one is really good. But he keeps a mistress. Finally, there was one who had a good family background, appearance, ability, and conduct. But my brother still thought he wasn't suitable. He's too powerful. I'm not as capable as him. What if he swallows up our family company? All in all, none of them were good. It left my parents speechless. In the end, they were so angry. They pointed at my brother and said, "You go and find a perfect man for your sister." My brother thought about it. He was silent for a long time. "Forget it. You don't need to get married. Our family has enough money to support you comfortably." As a result, he was chased and beaten by my dad. These days, the house has been very lively, with waves of relatives coming. My brother found the time to slip out. I also slipped out. My best friend, who had just broken up, dragged me to a club to sing karaoke. My best friend angrily denounced her aloof boyfriend who couldn't perform sexually. You tell me why. He's really handsome and clean, but he's just not good in that aspect. I comforted her. Does it have to be that way? If you really like him, a spiritual love can be good too. My best friend looked at me with a strange look. Forget it. You don't understand. You have to experience it to know. My best friend said with deep regret. I thought he was handsome and well endowed, but I never expected he couldn't perform. She took the microphone and vented. My phone in my pocket kept ringing, so I went out to answer the call. Just after I hung up, the door of the opposite room opened. Larry was wearing a black suit and looked at me in surprise. I was also very surprised. The frequency of running into him was a bit too high. I was just about to greet him when a chorus of jeers came from the room behind Larry. He smiled at me helplessly. Can you do me a favor? I looked at him with a puzzled expression, and I had an intuitive feeling of unease. I lost a game and drew a truth or dare. I got a dare. Larry handed me a piece of paper. It said, find an opposite-sex person to sit on your lap and feed you wine. I immediately shook my head like a rattle. I can't do that. When Larry saw my resistant look, a trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes. It's okay. I'll just accept the punishment. I asked in a low voice. What's the punishment? A bottle of wine. When Larry came to pick me up at the airport last time, I asked him why he didn't drink at the party. He had damaged his stomach from social drinking over the years. If he drinks too much now, he has to go to the hospital. So he tries not to drink. His friends at the gatherings understand him. For those in the business field, it depends on the situation. Obviously, the people inside weren't his friends. Larry came from a poor background. Now he has become a new business tycoon, all by his own hard work step by step. I instinctively knew that those young masters were bullying him. Seeing that he said it so casually, I felt a bit sorry for him. On an impulse, I agreed. But when I stood in front of Larry holding the wine, I regretted it. No wonder he just opened the door and went out. There were all men inside. What a lousy game. Why don't you play with each other among men? They were clearly making things difficult for him. Larry was sitting on the sofa and gently took my free hand. His hand was warm and strong. It had a soothing meaning. It also led me closer to him. I had been thinking of backing out, but I mustered up the courage and tried to sit sideways. But the hand that Larry was holding mine suddenly pulled hard. I directly straddled his lap. The wine spilled on both of our clothes. The cold liquid made me shiver. It left a mark on my white t-shirt. I stared at Larry's dark eyes in shock. I was scared. I got a new glass of wine. Larry's voice was very gentle. Let's get it over with quickly. It could be regarded as an explanation for his abrupt action. Feed me. He raised his chin slightly, and his thin and red lips parted slightly. Those two words were low and deep, and there was a trace of hoarseness. It tickled my eardrums. I almost wasted another glass of wine because of my shaking hand. I held the wine and fed it to his mouth, pouring it slowly. Larry's Adam's apple kept bobbing. Some liquid spilled from the corner of his mouth and trickled down. It slid across his jaw and neckline, collarbone, and disappeared into his collar. It made people have wild imaginations. With the last sip of wine swallowed, the game was over. The corners of Larry's eyes were red, and his eyes were filled with a glistening watercolor. He stared straight at me. His lips stained with wine curved into a smile. There was a decadent charm. My heart throbbed uncontrollably. A feeling of restlessness made my throat dry. I wanted to get up from his lap, but Larry suddenly raised his hand and pressed it on my waist. He pressed my face against his shoulder. Our bodies were closely pressed together. Larry said in a low voice, "Your brother is here." I stiffened all over. My scalp went numb. I didn't dare to move at all, although I was wearing a mask when I came in. But as long as my brother saw my back, he would definitely recognize me. He went to the opposite side. Larry was calm and composed. He took off his suit jacket and put it on me. Then he stood up while holding me. I instinctively wrapped my arms around him tightly. I was afraid of falling. There were some ambiguous sounds around. My mind was so tense that I didn't have the energy to care about anything else. When I came to my senses, I was already sitting in Larry's car. "Are you okay? Were you scared?" Larry handed me a bottle of fruit juice. I took 2 sips. I let out a sigh of relief with lingering fear. Larry smiled and said, "Are you really that afraid of your brother?" With the posture that I had with Larry just now, If my brother saw it, he would definitely explode with anger. It would be a disaster. I actually thought Larry was too calm. I gave him an aggrieved and resentful look. I took out my phone and called my best friend to ask her to come out. I didn't notice the suddenly darkened look in Larry's eyes as I lowered my head. It was the look of a man looking at a woman. It was a reaction of being aroused with desire. Something's not right. Something's not right. When I confessed to my best friend afterward, she said these words several times in a row. He has improper intentions towards you. With my experience of dating more than a dozen handsome guys, I'm telling you, my intuition won't be wrong. The speculation that Larry likes me is too fantastical, isn't it? These few times we've met were all accidents. There was indeed an indescribable ambiguity when we were doing the wine-feeding thing, but that was a helpless act forced by the game rules. Anyone doing that game would have their thoughts stirred up. Not to mention a man and a woman. Even if it were two people of the same sex, it would make people have wild thoughts. My best friend looked at me as if I was hopeless. You're a sweet girl, but you're a total straight girl at heart. No wonder Jay has been chasing you for so many years and still hasn't caught up with you. My best friend pretended to sigh. Poor thing. Jay was the boy who liked me in high school and fought with my brother. He still hasn't given up until now. He followed me to the north to go to university. He took the postgraduate entrance exam with me and joined the same company. His perseverance amazes me and makes me feel helpless at the same time. Jay has good conditions. He's quite handsome and capable. And he's infatuated with me. But I have no feelings for him at all. His infatuation is nothing but a burden to me. The person who called me in the KTV was him. When I was in a different place, I had a minor operation due to physical discomfort. I didn't tell my family. I don't know where he heard the news, but he ran to the hospital and took care of me for a week. I couldn't drive him away. After all, I owed him a favor. He maintained an appropriate distance, and there were work-related exchanges. So I kept his contact information and didn't have the heart to delete it. Speaking of Jay, I felt a bit of a headache. He's also back. I joined a new company. I saw Larry's car near the company. Then I found out that his company was in the building opposite ours. When he has time at noon, he would invite me to have a meal. He would take me to eat delicious food. At first, I refused. Larry saw my concerns. He made a phone call to my brother. The general idea was that I was working near his company. He wanted to invite me to have a meal and asked for my brother's permission. Larry spoke reasonably and showed proper etiquette. My brother agreed. Sure, go ahead and eat. He definitely should invite you to have a meal. He's fulfilling the duty of a host. Don't be polite to him. Since my brother had spoken, I naturally had no excuse to refuse. Later, somehow, we became lunch companions. Larry talked with eloquence. It was very comfortable to get along with him. Occasionally, my brother was also there. He told Larry, "Help me take care of my sister. It's best to pay attention and don't let men with improper intentions get close to her." Larry looked at me, who was burying my head in eating, and smiled and agreed. Okay. I worked overtime at night. When I came out of the company, I saw Jay standing by the roadside. I let out a deep sigh. I didn't know how to make him give up. I didn't understand his feelings or his persistence. There were quite a few people who chased me, but he was the only one who was so persistent. My best friend evaluated him. He's waiting and also gambling. Waiting for the time when you reach the age for marriage and need to choose someone. Gambling that you'll choose him the first time. With this kind of feeling, outsiders would think he's infatuated and pitiful, and think that I'm heartless and indifferent. Over the years, many of my classmates thought so. But liking me is his business, and not liking him is my right. Why should I be obliged to respond just because his love is known to everyone? Being liked and pestered by someone I don't like is actually a kind of pain. Everything he does is just self-satisfaction. Not what I want. When he saw me come out, Jay walked up to me in a few steps. "Giselle, I've been looking for you for a long time." I felt annoyed and powerless. "Jay, don't waste your time on me anymore." Jay looked at me, his eyes full of affection. "As long as you're single, I have a chance." I was at a loss for his way of thinking. "So, you'll give up if I fall in love with someone else and date them, right?" Jay's eyes were red. "No, you can't." "Why can't I? I will like someone else. Get married to someone else. And it won't be you. I've said it many times. We can only be friends at most." He hugged me angrily. squeezing me so hard that I could hardly breathe. He said in my ear, "Don't like someone else. I don't want to be just friends with you." I pushed him hard. He didn't move at all, until I heard a furious shout. Then Jay was pulled away and got punched in the face. I saw my brother's enraged face. "You pesky kid again. My sister said she doesn't like you. Can't you understand human language?" Jay recognized my brother and didn't fight back. He said to my brother, "Brother, I like Giselle. Forever. Damn it. Who's your brother?" I hugged my brother's hand, afraid that they would fight. "Brother, let's go." My brother was very angry. He grabbed my hand and walked to a car with the door open by the roadside. He stuffed me into the car. "You go home. I'll deal with that kid." Larry was also in the car, sitting in the driver's seat. He didn't look happy. I grabbed my brother worriedly. "Don't do anything stupid. Don't fight." My brother ruffled my hair. "That kid has been pestering you like a mad dog for so many years. Who knows what he might do in the future? I'll go and confront him. Don't worry. Your brother knows what he's doing." Looking at my brother's back as he walked away, I was filled with anxiety. My brother has a small scar on his head, which was from being hit by a wine bottle. I'm quite likable. Even though I'm well-behaved and low-key, I'm still targeted by others. Teenage boys are full of restlessness, and there are the most hooligans at that age. When I was in junior high school, I was once blocked by a group of hooligans. My brother got his head hit for me. That was the first time I saw him fight. He was fierce, violent, and fought with all his might. He was thin and lanky as a teenager, but his figure standing in front of me to protect me was like a mountain. He fought against 5 or 6 people alone. Naturally, he was covered in injuries. Later, Larry appeared. 15-year-old Larry joined the brawl with a wooden stick in his hand. He fought fiercely and accurately. His movements were agile and vicious. It was the kind of skill honed from long-term fighting. Soon, those hooligans were scared off. I still remember that scene clearly. Larry was wearing a washed-out blue and white school uniform. The buttons were fastened all the way to the top. He looked like a top student, but he was holding a blood-stained stick in his hand. The anger in his eyes dissipated in the summer evening breeze when he met my gaze. From that day on, he and my brother became good friends. At that time, I didn't have the chance to say thank you to him or give him a response. I was so scared by the blood flowing from my brother's head that I burst into tears. The image of my brother's face covered in blood left a deep shadow in my heart. I'm very afraid of him fighting with others and getting hurt. My brother also knows this, because when he was in the hospital, I cried every day. He always comforted me in a joking way. "Don't you think I'm so cool? See, when you look for a partner in the future, you should take your brother as a benchmark. He has to be someone who is willing to risk his life for you. That's what true love is. He's more mature than you think. Don't worry." Larry comforted me. I suddenly turned around and looked at him. I stared at him so intently that he felt uncomfortable and loosened the bow tie on his shirt. "What's wrong?" I firmly held his hand with a determined look in my eyes. "I helped you last time, and now you help me." I held Larry's hand and walked towards my brother and Jay. They both turned around at the same time. They stared at the hands of Larry and me, which were interlocked. They had an expression as if the sky had fallen. My brother frowned and walked over quickly. Before he could speak, I quickly introduced, "This is my boyfriend." My brother stopped in his tracks, thinking he was hearing things. I ignored him and said to Jay, "He's my boyfriend. Don't pester me anymore." Jay couldn't believe it and roared, "You're lying to me." Larry stood in front of me, his eyes cold. "She's not lying to you." She was afraid that her brother would object, so we didn't tell others about our relationship. "But you've been pestering Giselle, which has brought us a lot of trouble. I don't want to hide it anymore." Larry. Jay knew Larry. After all, they were in the same high school, and Larry was quite famous. He called Larry's name viciously, and his eyes were very scary. After a while, Jay looked at me and asked, "Why? Why did you choose him?" In just a few seconds, I was caught in a mental whirlwind. This answer was very important. I had to come up with a reason that would leave him speechless. "Because, he's more handsome than you." As soon as these words came out, there was a moment of silence around us. The corner of my brother's mouth twitched slightly. Larry was surprised but pleased. The corner of his mouth turned up slightly. Jay was stunned for a long time before he found his voice again. "Just because of that?" I nodded and admitted, "Yes, just because of that. I'm a vulgar person. I care about looks. I just like handsome guys. And I've never seen a man more handsome than him. And he's my brother's friend. So I know him well. And we're a good match. Larry's handsomeness was undeniable. And Jay couldn't refute it. He looked at our interlocked hands, his lips trembling. Suddenly, he started crying. Tears streamed down his face silently. It was heart-wrenching. Although I didn't have feelings for him, I was still touched. I felt a bit sad and sorry. But that was all. Larry held my hand and turned around to leave. He took big steps, and I had to run to keep up with him. My brother lit a cigarette and smoked it on the side. He looked up and glanced at us. His eyes in the dark and the smoke were hard to discern. I felt flustered and showed a well-behaved smile. After finishing the cigarette, my brother got back in the car. I sat obediently in the back seat. The car had driven halfway when my brother finally spoke. You two, are you really just pretending? Right. Larry was driving and calmly replied. What would you do if it's not pretending? My brother's forehead creases almost showed up. He said in an unfriendly tone. What do you mean? I quickly interrupted. It's fake. It's fake. I came up with the idea. Larry laughed. You're so serious even when I'm just joking. Is it so bad to be your brother-in-law? My brother's eyebrows relaxed a bit. Get out of here. No one is allowed to make jokes about my sister. My brother was silent for a few seconds, and then suddenly exclaimed. You held my sister's hand. Go and wash your hands immediately when we get back. Larry said helplessly. Okay. I looked at my palm in the back seat, my thoughts racing. At first, I just held Larry's hand, but he let go and inserted his fingers into the gaps between mine, interlocking our fingers and holding my hand tightly. He gave me a gentle smile in my surprised gaze and said, This looks more real. God knows. I was so flustered at that time that I almost bumped into a nearby utility pole. It was Larry who was quick-eyed and quick-handed and blocked it for me. His hand was even bruised. My best friend got back together with her aloof boyfriend. I was curious. Didn't you say you wouldn't want him because he couldn't perform sexually? He's willing to see a doctor. So I'm giving him a chance. My best friend pulled me and stood in front of her boyfriend's hospital room. I wanted to leave, but my best friend held my hand tightly. I asked for the nth time. Is it really appropriate for you to bring me here? Isn't it a bit inappropriate? My best friend was wearing sunglasses. I'm afraid I'll be embarrassed by myself. It's better if you accompany me. I was full of question marks. When my best friend pulled me to see the doctor, I finally understood. She meant a doctor. The doctor was a woman. The conversation wasn't too awkward. Conclusion. The aloof boyfriend has no physical problems, but psychological problems. He needs to see a psychologist. My best friend was very happy. Great. He's not really a useless person. I really didn't want to hear the details about my best friend's boyfriend's sexual problems. I couldn't wait to leave. As soon as I went out, I met Larry. He looked at me in surprise. I was very shocked. Are you seeing a doctor? This is a male department. My gaze involuntarily shifted downwards. Larry's face didn't look good. No, you misunderstood. He emphasized in his tone. I'm very healthy and have no problems at all. It's okay. I understand. Don't hide your illness and avoid seeing a doctor. Larry explained. I'm here to visit a friend. Larry, Dr. Zoe, who had finished talking to my best friend, stood up. Larry walked past me and hugged Dr. Zoe. Seeing their familiar and intimate posture, I suddenly felt a bit stuffy in my heart. When my best friend pulled me away, I kept wondering what the relationship between Larry and Dr. Zoe was. If you're curious, just ask. My best friend didn't understand my habit of speculating alone. Don't guess. Just ask clearly. I didn't have the nerve to go in and visit my best friend's boyfriend, so I just stood at the door. My best friend directly pulled me to find someone. When we passed the elevator entrance, we saw Larry. My best friend was very friendly and introduced herself, and then asked, Are Larry and Dr. Zoe in a romantic relationship? Larry's gaze swept over me. He didn't seem offended by my best friend's question. He smiled politely and said, No, we're neighbors. I'm in the medical device business and have cooperation with the hospital. I just dropped by to visit her. He looked at me and added, Dr. Zoe has a boyfriend, who is my college classmate. My best friend smiled and pushed me forward. You sent her home. I still need to accompany my boyfriend. Goodbye. As soon as the elevator door opened, Larry and I walked in together. There were other people inside, which relieved my embarrassment. As the elevator went down a few floors, more and more people came in. I stumbled and fell into Larry's arms. He steadied me and said in a low voice, "Be careful." I nodded with a red face and quickly squeezed out as soon as the elevator door opened. When I turned back to wait for Larry, a male doctor passed by Larry. I suddenly lost my focus. I stared blankly at the male doctor walking into the elevator. Larry's voice was slightly cold. "Do you know him?" I came back to my senses, staring at Larry's hand. A sour feeling spread in my heart. I was just thinking about what you would look like if you were a doctor wearing a white coat. I don't know why, but I suddenly felt very sorry for Larry. My brother said that Larry's dream was to be a doctor. He said that Larry was very talented and always ranked first in his studies. The teachers spoke highly of him. He would definitely have made a great doctor. However, his hand was injured. That scene just now was like a dislocation in time and space. It made me feel so sad that I wanted to cry. The emotions surged up so violently that I lowered my head to hide the tears in my eyes. Larry remained silent. He reached out and gently pulled me into his arms. Life always goes on. Those who are knocked down will stand up and keep moving forward. That wasn't the only path I could take. I'm doing well now too. Right now, I have something I want even more. I looked up at Larry. "What do you want?" He looked at me. That look reminded me of the teenager in the blue and white school uniform who looked at me when he was 15. It was like the summer evening breeze, gentle and serene, with a hint of hidden passion. Larry didn't answer my question. Instead, he said, "If you want to see it, how about I wear it for you next time?" Sure, but I didn't say it out loud. I was too embarrassed. Since that day, there has been an indescribable feeling between Larry and me. It's hazy. It makes people can't help but want to get closer. Yet they also feel hesitant. This strange feeling has been disturbing me. Could it be that I like Larry? And does he like me? These two questions got a definite answer when I attended the department dinner party. At the dinner party, I was pressured to drink by my male colleagues and male leader. At first, it was just simple toasts. Gradually, they toasted me one by one in the name of welcoming the new staff. There were two other female colleagues at the table besides me. Their situations were better than mine. I'm not a heavy drinker. I can drink, but I'll get drunk if I have too much. I sensed something was wrong. I secretly called my brother. He didn't answer. I sent my location and the room number to Larry. He called me. Before I could answer, my phone was taken away and hung up by a male colleague beside me. "Is it someone urging you to go home?" What a buzzkill. When Larry arrived, I locked myself in the restroom. Just after I sent the message to Larry, two female colleagues were suddenly called out by a male colleague. I stood up to follow, but was stopped. I forced a calm smile, saying I was going to the restroom. After coming in, I locked the door. The people outside started knocking on the door frantically after waiting for 10 minutes. The effects of the alcohol were kicking in, and my head started to feel dizzy. Out of fear, I bit my hand hard, trying to make myself sober. I didn't open the door until I heard Larry's voice. Those scumbags outside were curled up on the ground, moaning. Larry exuded a gloomy and violent aura all over. He took me away. In the car, Larry asked me, "Are you feeling unwell?" I shook my head. He looked at my tipsy appearance, and there was a storm of emotions in his eyes, restraining the anger in his heart. I touched his reddish eyes. "Don't be angry." Larry pulled me into his arms, hugging me tightly. The more I struggled, the tighter his grip became, so I obediently let him hold me. When I'm drunk, I'm more obedient and bolder than usual. When Larry let go of me, I grabbed his wrist and said, "Do you like me?" His expression froze, and his eyes flickered, but he remained silent for a long time. When I was getting impatient, I heard Larry say, "I do." I smiled happily and leaned in to kiss his face. "Then I like you too." Larry's pupils constricted, and he asked me, "Do you know what you're saying?" I hugged his neck and sat on his lap. I nodded vigorously. "I know." Then I took the opportunity to kiss Larry's particularly beautiful eyes. My restless movements made his body tense up. His breathing became rapid. He stared at me, his eyes dark, touching my face. He said in a hoarse voice, "I really want to do something bad." I was puzzled and curious. "What?" Larry's nose tip touched mine. His black eyes seemed to hide a whirlpool that wanted to swallow me up. He kissed my lips and said softly, "Make love to you." I quickly covered his mouth with my hand. Frowning, I said, "Don't say dirty words." He was charmed by my reaction and laughed softly. Larry and I started dating. Behind my brother's back. Larry wanted to confess, but I hesitated. "Let's wait until he comes back from his business trip. After my brother came back." I said, "Let's wait until after my eldest cousin's wedding." Larry smiled faintly. "Do you plan to keep it a secret forever? Am I that unseemly?" I looked at him pitifully. "I'm afraid my brother will beat you up." Larry sat on the office chair, tapping his fingertips on the desk. He showed no fear. "Then let him beat me." While I was thinking, I heard my brother's voice approaching. In a panic, I hid under Larry's desk. The next second, my brother came in. He chatted with Larry casually. I was huddled in the narrow space under the desk, blushing, because I was facing Larry's private parts. "I suspect my sister is in a relationship." Larry raised his eyebrows. "Really?" My brother said with certainty. "Her state recently is completely different from before. She must have been pestered by that toad again." "Have you seen any other men around her?" Larry sneered. "Humph." I quickly tugged at his pant leg, hoping he wouldn't reveal the truth at this moment. Larry gently persuaded. "Your sister isn't a child anymore. It's normal for her to be in a relationship. You can't stop her from getting married, can you?" My brother clicked his tongue, sounding irritated. "I just want to know who it is. My sister is cute and pretty. You have no idea how many boys have liked her since she was a kid. I'm worried about her. After all, she's our family's precious one. Just thinking about some man touching her makes me angry." Larry didn't say anything. He looked at me waving my hand under the desk. He pursed his thin lips, his eyes indifferent, not very happy. After my brother left, I crawled out from under the desk. Looking awkward, I said, "I should go back now." Larry grabbed my hand. He kissed me until I went weak all over before letting me go. He bit my ear and said, "After the wedding, if you don't tell him, I will." I nodded eagerly. My brother suspected that I was in a relationship. He asked me indirectly. I played dumb. I tentatively asked, "What would you do if I'm in a relationship?" He grinned. "Just take a look. What else can I do?" I deliberately found a variety show and watched it when he was at home. The host asked the male idol group members, "If you had a sister, which member would you introduce her to?" I pretended to ask casually, "How would you answer this question?" My brother frowned and sneered. "They don't deserve her." "Are all your brothers that bad?" My brother said fiercely. "No man can accept his brother dating his sister." Silence. Worry. I didn't dare to ask further. My brother has been coming home very often these days. Whenever I go out, he will definitely ask me, "Where are you going?" If I don't get home by 9 o'clock, he will call and ask, "Where are you?" I can only go to drink with my best friend at night when he's on a business trip. My brother doesn't like my best friend. He's always afraid that she will lead me astray. They don't like each other. They will quarrel every time they meet. In the lounge bar, my best friend scolded my brother for being autocratic in front of me, and she complained to me about her aloof boyfriend. I've been abstaining from sex for a long time. If he doesn't get better, I might break up with him again. Spiritual platonism. Only someone like you who hasn't experienced sex can have that kind of relationship. She asked me slyly, "Is he good in bed?" I blushed and shook my head. "We haven't reached that stage yet." A little after 10 o'clock, Larry came to pick me up. My best friend giggled in my ear. To be honest, it was a bit lewd, and a bit cute. "He's a catch. But remember to test him with your hand first." I glared at her angrily, feeling ashamed. I suspected that Larry heard it. When Larry held my hand and we walked out of the lounge bar, I realized that his body temperature was abnormal. "Are you having a fever?" he hummed. "It's okay. Just a low fever." "Did you come here from my brother's place?" Larry nodded. His answer was a bit absent-minded. It seemed that he was thinking about something else. "What's wrong with you?" Just as I asked, Larry's phone rang. The name on the caller ID looked familiar. It was the call that he hung up and ignored when he came to pick me up at the airport. Seeing the caller ID, Larry's eyes turned cold. He didn't answer. I was really curious and asked him, "Who is it?" It could actually affect his emotions so easily. I teased, "Your ex-girlfriend." Larry looked at me, his voice emotionless. "It's my mother. She's coming to ask me for money. I was raised by my grandparents. After my father died, she abandoned me and never raised me. She remarried and spoiled a son. Now that she has no one to rely on in her old age, she remembers to come to me. When I didn't have enough money for my tuition and went to her, she scolded me and drove me away, telling me not to bother her. I will only give her the basic alimony. She won't get a single extra penny from me. I had heard my brother talk about Larry's background. He's so good-looking that many girls like him. That also made some boys jealous of him. When he was delivering takeout during the holidays to earn tuition fees, he was set up by a group of young masters. His hand was stepped on broken glass, leaving a permanent injury. His path to becoming a doctor was completely cut off, and those people just paid the medical expenses. They were high and mighty, not a scratch on them. Larry looked into my eyes carefully. Do you think I'm cold-blooded and heartless? No. I think you're too kind. I held his hand. I hated those who had hurt him so much. You can block her and ignore her. Larry smiled, with a cold fire in his eyes. I'm not that kind. I keep this little connection because I think that as long as she's alive, I still have a relative. Even if there's no real affection. I never knew that deep in Larry's strong and gentle heart. There was also a vulnerable and dark side. I couldn't help but hug him tightly. I'll be your family. Larry lowered his head and kissed my hair. No, I only want you to be my lover. My brother has been on a business trip these 2 days. Larry was alone at home. I touched his forehead and felt that it wasn't just a low fever. I planned to stay at my brother's place at night, to take care of Larry. Larry hesitated for a while before agreeing. When we got back and took his temperature, it was 39 degrees Celsius. I sent Larry to bed. I brought him medicine and water and placed them by the bedside. Larry obediently took the medicine. He looked at me as I wiped his face with a wet towel. Lowering his eyes, he said coquettishly, "If I wasn't sick, I would want to kiss you right now." I hesitated for a few seconds. I leaned in and gently kissed his lips. The fire in his eyes was instantly ignited. He turned over and pinned me underneath him. Larry's body, which was burning with fever, was like a stove. His burning lips landed one kiss after another on my face. They lingered by the corner of my mouth, but didn't go deeper. After looking at me deeply, he restrained his desire and held me in his arms. I sweated from the heat and moved. I wanted to get out. Accidentally, my knee touched Larry, and he let out a muffled groan. At first, I didn't think much of it. My hand instinctively reached out. The next second, I bounced away. But Larry grabbed my hand and said in a hoarse voice, "Do you want to test it out?" I tested it. The length, the thickness, the endurance, they were all very good. On the day of my eldest cousin's wedding, Larry also came. My brother stared at the bride on the stage, his eyes slightly red. I was shocked inside. I had already imagined a long urban drama in my mind. I couldn't help but cast a puzzled look at Larry, who was sitting beside my brother. Larry patted my brother's shoulder, reminding him, "Calm down." My brother retracted his gaze. Seeing my subtle expression, he smiled. "Don't think too much." It's hard for me not to think too much. Brother. My brother rarely has such a deep moment. My curiosity was killing me. When Larry went to the restroom, I quickly followed. Larry heard my footsteps and turned around. I quickly walked over and grabbed his hand. I pulled him into the stairwell beside us. I couldn't wait to ask, "What's the relationship between my brother and my eldest cousin's wife?" Larry looked at me helplessly. "We were classmates. She was your brother's first love. They broke up many years ago. Your brother was just feeling sentimental because of the scene." I was shocked. "Does my eldest cousin know?" Larry said in a calm tone. "He knows." I hugged my head. "Help. You guys are too complicated." Larry smiled. "Is it really that complicated?" "Of course. It will be so awkward when we have dinner together during festivals in the future. It's so strange." I couldn't digest this news. I looked distressed, deeply worried. "Don't think too much. It's not complicated. Your brother has already let it go. And no matter how strange it is, it's not stranger than you stopping me from going to the restroom." There was a bit of teasing in Larry's words along with his helplessness. I realized I was being embarrassed belatedly. Then you go quickly. You're so cute. I want to kiss you even more now." Larry pinched my chin and lifted it up. He lowered his head and kissed me, gently rubbing my lips. And then he deepened the kiss. Larry's kiss wasn't fierce. It was very gentle. It was so comfortable that it made people sink into it. In the dark corner, his kisses moved from my lips to my neck and collarbone. He didn't stop until I couldn't help but let out a sob. He sighed softly. You can't even stand this. What will you do in the future? After being affectionate for a while, I pushed him away. As soon as we went out, we bumped into my brother. I looked panicked, my face blushing. Larry came out behind me. My brother's face didn't look good. His eyes swept between us. He said coldly, "Explain yourselves." Back at the wedding venue, my brother's face was still terrifyingly gloomy. He didn't hit Larry. Instead, he smoked a few cigarettes in silence. His lack of reaction made me feel very anxious. Until the scene was changed and we were having a meal at the banquet. He suddenly told me to go to another table. Larry glanced at my brother but didn't say anything. Seeing that he was in a bad mood, I went to sit at the table with my parents. My mother looked at me with disdain. There are so many young people. Yet you have to come and join us old folks at this table. There are so many young men here today. You should go and interact with them. Get to know them. And make some friends. It's not like I'm asking you to fall in love right away. My mother scanned the surroundings. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. She took my hand and led me to Larry's side. She pressed me down to sit. And she sat down as well. My brother's face turned dark. He had just driven me away. And now my mother had pressed me back. And I was sitting next to Larry. Larry greeted politely. "Hello, Auntie." My mother was overjoyed. "Little Lou hasn't come to our house as a guest for a long time. You've become even more handsome than before. What have you been busy with recently?" She was inquiring about his career. "You came alone. Didn't you bring your girlfriend?" She was inquiring about his love life. Everyone sitting at this table could see what my mother meant. I pressed my forehead with my hand. My brother interrupted my mother's words and received a fierce glare and a reminder about getting married. He shut up. Larry naturally understood too. He was extremely patient and replied earnestly. He wasn't perfunctory at all. My mother couldn't hide her satisfaction in her eyes. "Little Lou is young and promising. What kind of girl do you like?" Larry glanced at me. My ears felt hot, and I secretly tugged at my mother's clothes. My mother directly pointed at me and said, "What do you think of our Giselle?" Larry's gaze fell on me. "She's really wonderful, beautiful, kind, and smart. The person who can marry her must be the happiest person in the world." My mother beamed with joy, even happier than I was. Since that day, my mother would invite Larry to our house for dinner every now and then. My brother always kept a straight face. Because my brother hadn't given his consent, I also didn't confess to my parents. I kept coaxing my brother, calling him brother, every day. One day, my brother suddenly said to me earnestly, "Brother wishes you well. Brother has figured it out. If you're going to get married, it's better for your partner to be him than someone else." I quietly asked, "Did you hit him?" My brother gave me a sidelong glance. "Would you be sad if I did?" I smiled obediently. "Does your hand hurt?" "Brother." I managed to make my brother laugh. "I didn't hit him. Don't worry. Damn it. This guy has had improper intentions towards you for a long time and has been hiding it very well. I'm starting to suspect that he became friends with me because of you too." I have to say, my brother's suspicion was right. When Larry's house was decorated and he was buying furniture, I went there once. In his study, I found an old mobile phone. On a whim, I opened it. I found that the entire photo album was full of pictures of me. From my junior high school to high school, the young and wonderful me filled his photo album. After waiting for 10 minutes, I went to find Larry with the mobile phone. His ears turned red instantly. His innocent reaction surprised me. You know, he wasn't someone who blushed easily. I smiled and asked, "Why didn't you confess?" At that time, I had nothing. I didn't dare. The teenage Larry was the object of many girls' infatuation. He was an excellent student with top grades, but he was actually quite self-conscious and lacked confidence deep down. He liked Giselle, but he didn't dare to get close to her. He was poor and had nothing. How could he, who was standing in the mud, dare to touch her? He could only look at her from a distance. Liking Giselle was Larry's biggest secret. Until now, he was standing on solid ground. In the light, he could finally tell her openly, and tell everyone, "I like Giselle." I stood on tiptoe and kissed Larry. "I like you so much too." Perhaps, many years ago, Larry had planted a seed of love in my heart. Until today, it has sprouted and grown wildly. and it has borne the fruit of love. The end of the full text.